So, namaste to my real self, because the real self is everywhere. This entire Eastern wisdom sings the glory of who we are. If you say it is an Eastern psychology, it sings the glory of who we are. We are permanent peace and happiness. We are all pervading love and wisdom. That is all about this text. The master of this text has written more than 200 books. It goes to more than 20,000 pages. And it is so much rational, he says, that to understand and realize our real self, we need mental and emotional maturity. Mental and emotional maturity. So when we study and learn these principles, that maturity of emotion and mind comes. It has nothing to do with IQ or EQ. It is an inner orientation of the mind. Why and for whom the master wrote this text? Normally we write a best-selling book, so we hire an agent, and then the agent says you have to write this book. These are the topics. So we lose the main content, the reality. So this master, in the very first verse, prays to the God that let this text be studied by those people who wants freedom from the suffering. And it should benefit them. Look at the way these masters have written. So we don't need that IQ in our, we need higher IQ in our professional field. And still we are not free from stress. You see that? The other day I was telling higher the IQ, possibility that you will be a beggar in the streets of California. Many people have left. Higher the IQ. Greater the IQ, and still I'm not able to bring an end to the suffering. The master of this text makes us aware what kind of maturity we need to succeed in realizing the real self. It took Buddha almost 6 years to reach to that level of emotional and mental maturity. And then Alar Kalam, his master, asked him to sit under a Bodhi tree, close your eyes, and absorb into mindfulness. And done. That needs to be understood. We are going step by step deeply. I will pick up each verse and then we will understand that how day by day living in a waking state, in a dream state, and sleep state, if we understand it clearly, we will find our real self. So this is one of the very high advanced texts. So this master is a polymath, genius, minister and a king. As I told you that he has written more than 200 books. He never wanted to be the best-selling author. He said, let this book help seekers. Seeker means that I have a mental and emotional maturity, not having a higher IQ. So now next question comes. Ask the next question in your mind. What is this mental and emotional maturity? As long as we criticize, blame, complain, react to our own self, we do not appreciate who we are. We do not have emotional and mental. We are not qualified. If we continue to sing, blame, no, I did the mistake, my life is gone. For them, this journey is not possible. Huh? So I was talking. What I was talking, I will summarize that we need an emotional and mental maturity to treat this path to become a seeker. So, what is this emotional maturity and mental maturity? That you never ever blame yourself, criticize yourself, continue to feel fear and the insecurity. Why? The Eastern wisdom sings the glory of the true nature, that we are peace and happiness. We are peace and happiness. See, put out the logic, reasoning. But I still feel those problems. I feel I have a lot of defects, problems, and challenges. Come on. They belong to your mind and the body. They do not belong to your real self. What a simple answer. Can I accept it? My mind does not accept it. To make the mind understand and accept it is to become a qualified seeker on this path. In the waking state, not only we complain about this world outside, politicians, friends, and the foes, we also complain about ourselves all the time. We always complain and blame about ourselves. And this Eastern wisdom, all our masters in one voice sings the glory that we are a human being, we have a free intellect, and that intellect can get the knowledge of the real self. And that real self is permanent peace and happiness. Will you stop criticizing yourself, constantly nagging yourself that I have a lot of problems and challenges from today? This is what Master is saying. This is emotional and mental maturity. We don't need IQ. I've been telling you again. Everyone can become a seeker. Everyone cannot go to MIT. See the difference. We need an emotional and mental maturity. And what is that maturity? That maturity is that I stop cursing, blaming myself. The moment you blame yourself, complain yourself, your path goes to a psychiatrist or psychotherapist. If you want to learn and awaken, sing the glory of who we are real self, we are permanent peace and happiness, then join me. This master says, mindfulness means the highest state of mindfulness here and now. With that emotional and mental maturity, if you listen to these principles rationally, putting the reason, and you heard these principles 100% today, you are already there. If not, then doubt. From where the doubt? The doubt in the mind. That doubt in the mind passes to the intellect. Mind takes over our life with an hidden agenda. Just understand that clearly. Understanding is required. What is hidden agenda? Likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment. Desire moves the mind outside. Blame and complain starts. Distraction starts. What happens when mind is filled with this immaturity? There's a lack of awareness of reality. Lack of awareness of reality leads to egoism. Egoism leads to attachment and detachment. And then we continue to live our life days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. It means I don't have an emotional and mental maturity. I was thinking about you, Christina. I thought that you have left this journey.
No, I promise I haven't, and I've been in a treatment house for just more just treatment, and but I wish I could be with you all the time, but here I am when I can. I'm sorry, Girish.
No problem. No. So, what should I do? I feel lazy, mind doubts, distracts, causes likes and dislikes. If I can understand the entire these factors in the mind, I will be able to sit in meditation even for hours together. I'm just talking what the master is saying, this great master. He doesn't talk of, even he doesn't talk define meditation. He says you understand this clearly. Once you understand, the you get the emotional and mental maturity, and then he says, I will explain. The master says, I will explain you what exactly mindfulness in a waking state, in a sleep state, in a dream state. Can you imagine how he sings the glory in day-to-day life of what mindfulness is? So when we talk about it, I made it clear in the Mondays and Thursdays session, but I will put little more emphasis here. This is what the master wants to put. Listening. Are you listening to me? Yes. Are you listening to your honey? Yes. Are you listening to your doctor? If you have some challenges. That listening is different from this listening. That is why it is known as Shravan. So that this Shravan means the mind, intellect, and the memory, which is known as the chitta or the mind stuff, has to participate equally. You are listening. At the same time, those who have emotional and mental maturity understands, means the knowledge hidden into it. And you keep that knowledge in the memory to be retrieved in day-to-day living. The first step, if it is done 100%, you are already there. I will talk about when Buddha heard and practiced mindfulness from Alar Kalam. he got awakened. He ran to his 5 friends. He said, these are the 4 principles you have to understand. Don't start doing the headstand pose again. It is useless. Because all the 6 students were under a austere training of the Hatha Yoga and the Tantra Yoga. You have to eat only once. You have to sleep on the floor or the ground in the forest. You have to stand on 1 feet. Those were the very tough training was given by the Tantra and the Hatha Yoga masters. So we will talk about that later. So what is that? Mind, intellect, and memory. I have a lot of things to do after the meditation practice. The mind is wandering still. After listening to this beard guy and doing the practice, I have a lot of things to do. Mind is wandering. We are talking of this emotional and mental maturity. It is smiling. It means you have a lot of agenda today. So that is, if you have an emotional and mental maturity, then you are a seeker. No doubt. Christina was also explaining her lot of challenges. In spite of all those challenges, do I live with this maturity? Means I am aware, I know it, I remember it, that I am, what is? I am permanent peace and happiness. You simply remember this. Every master sings the glory of this. Let me know the name of every master. All the great masters sings the glory. Buddha, Ramakrishna, Vivekananda, modern masters, and my master, and before that. So what he is saying, what we are talking, why and for whom this journey is, the master explains in the first verse. And again, I'm saying, emotional and mental maturity is not having a higher IQ. You have a higher IQ, you become a medical doctor, and ask those people, do you have a stress? They will say yes. So what we are saying, emotional and mental maturity, will you stop blaming, complaining, criticizing, asking your mind to enter into likes and dislikes, hate and the love? Stop this. Tell the mind, stop this nonsense. Why? Then the mind is receptive. Mind will accept the knowledge that our masters are passing. Otherwise, no possible. Otherwise, the mind is habitual. After the practice, it will go back again. It will join the session again. That is why we are doing session for only the seekers. Only the seekers will join us. Now see, this journey is outside or inside. This journey is inside. It happens when the mind knows that it has to go inside with sincerity, with clarity. Let me give another example. There is a storm outside. I have given that example hundreds of times. There is a storm outside. You're standing outside your house. Storm outside. What exactly you do? Check the emotional maturity. You rush inside the home. Where is calmness? Calmness is inside the home. Now, if there is a storm in the mind, what you do? Raise your IQ. It is because of DNA, RNA. It is because of my parents. It is because of their parents. Continue the journey. Can you get out of it? Now, I'm not criticizing modern science. I'm seeing the approach of this Eastern wisdom is totally different. Are you getting it? Storm in the mind, lot of thoughts pertaining to likes, dislikes, blame, complain, cursing yourself. You drop there, move the mind inside. So, two or three problems this master has referred to. One is laziness that robs the seeker time and effort to know the real self. Oh, now when the meditation will start, close your eyes and then I start sleeping. I doze off. Why this comes? Because of lack of emotional and mental maturity. Second is inattention. I do not pay attention to what? I'm permanent peace and happiness. Come on. I listen to you. You seem to be a good guy. No, I'm talking about you, that you are permanent peace and happiness. And your mind says you are a good guy, that's why you are saying, but I have a lot of problems. I don't follow the tradition. I don't follow the knowledge. Do you see that? Why? Because of emotional and mental maturity is not. Why the master is saying, do you know who you are? I know I am the body. Master says I'm not the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the breath. So we are introducing a different knowledge in the mind. Mind, are you ready? And the third reason, that the mind lives impulsively, habitually, instinctively. And that is why the master is saying listening 100% comes from the mind. Then the intellect keeps that knowledge intact and retrieves that knowledge anytime, anywhere. So that leads to the second step, the contemplation. I should think about it. No, my doctor is saying, the anxiety is common, ADHD is common. I'm not going to. But do I really think? And do I think about myself? So the master is saying, here are the principles, thinking along that line. That brings the second step, which is known as manan. It has two parts, contemplation. Contemplation, where it leads to clarity, conviction, based on the knowledge, not based on the blind belief. And second is reflection. Reflection removes the doubt caused by the mind because of lack of emotional and mental. So once you have followed these two steps, the third step is the regular practice. But the regular practice with the knowledge kept in the intellect, you are aware of it. What you are aware of? What is your goal? My goal is to find out if there is a permanent peace and happiness within me or not. What we normally do, you give every time new practice and it helps me to relax, and I'm relaxed, and after a few hours I return to the same old stuff. That is not mindfulness. Once you do it, you succeed it, you live into that state. It is irreversible. This is what the master is saying. Few more points, and then from the next week we will pick up how the waking state. See that? Are we awake? Are we living in a waking state? So this master says that real self is present in the waking state. Why it is not seen? Because of lack of emotional and mental maturity. Not because we don't have higher IQ. Differentiate the two. So the second step, let me go back a little bit. It is researching. What is researching? Searching again. What to search again? Do I really have hate and love in my mind? Do I really have the thoughts of likes and dislikes? Let me understand what it is in line with the principles of the East and West. If you want to study physics, you have to follow Newton's law of motion, Einstein's theory of relativity. Same thing applies here. I have to think along the line of the principles of Eastern wisdom. No. I know science. Science says this. So you are learning physics, and you say what the biology says this. You are using iPhone, you say this is what the Android phone says. Did you understand that the lack of emotional and mental maturity? We have to think, reflect, and contemplate in line with the principles of Eastern wisdom. That is why I gossip too much. And I ask you to remain quiet. Listen to me. But this gossip, it goes into your head. Once it gives you a spark, life changes. Why life changes? The mind becomes doubt free, based on the reasoning, based on the principles. Then what happens? Simple thing happens. Then what happens? The knowledge passed on by the teacher, the current teacher who is speaking, and the seeker, they become one. Look at the subtle understanding this master says. They all become one, and the knowledge simply flows. From the teachers who discovered this, our great masters, 10,000 years old tradition, expressed by the live teacher, goes to the seeker who has an emotional maturity. You have an understanding, and you are there. It is 100% listening. That is why I send you all these files every time to. I know you all are busy, so whenever you have a time, so busy for what? Ask yourself. Emotional and mental maturity. Busy for what? To make your life better? How it becomes better? If I live in peace. No, come on. If I have $1 million, look at my dear friend Bill Gates, $127 billion. 27 years of loveless life, Patricia. Can you learn from the experiences of others? The dollar cannot make me happy. Why I am busy? Now you can answer easily. Anyhow, let us start our practice now. Eyes are closed.